Hi, this is Coach World TV, and I'm Laurie Lawson, and my guest tonight is Shoya Zichy. She is the creator and founder and maintainer of Color Cube Personality Systems. Shoya, thank you so much for being here.
Pleasure.
I'm going to give you a little background because we had Shoya speak for ICF a couple years ago. We were trying to figure out just how long ago that was. And she was by far one of the most popular people. You have developed one heck of a system that everyone loves. Tell us a little bit about, first of all, what is Color Cube personality profiling?
Color Q is a personality model based on the work of Carl Gustav Jung and Dr. Kiersey and the research of the Myers-Briggs community. And it essentially states that there are 4 basic brain-based personal styles that you're born with, and that help you function in many different areas of your life.
Now, when you say it's based on research, we're talking your research, right?
And we're talking the community research. I mean, between all of these models, we're talking about 50 million people.
Wow.
And basically I've done is I've taken the tenets of all of this various body of work and then combined it into something that is simpler and faster to deliver and a little bit easier to use, if you will.
Okay, so what you're saying is you took the concepts from these brilliant people,
Right.
and you brilliantly put them together and made it a simplified system.
That's right.
And people with colors, which is what I love about it, because I can always remember what color I am, whereas sometimes I forget which letter or number, you know, what I am. So, okay. So, and you came up with 4 personalities? Is that your own?
That's my own, and it starts with 4, and then through the backup system you go into 8, and then you have an extrovert-introvert dimension. So ultimately down the road you're still talking about 16 personality groups, but you only have to remember 4 colors.
Okay, we can do this. I know we can do this. Okay. So you're saying like there are basic colors, and then you have like, say like in astrology, a color rising or a color shade. Or
I call it the backup, yes.
The backup color, okay.
The backup color, right.
All right. So what are these 4 colors?
All right, the colors are gold, blue, red, and green. And I'll just give you one sentence to define each of them because it's a little bit more complex than what I'm saying right now. But essentially to define them, golds are 46% of the population. And this is amazing. I mean, nature is very smart. The golds are grounded, accountable, responsible, and they keep the world running properly. And examples of golds would be Queen Elizabeth, Colin Powell, Warren Buffett, and Barbara Walters, right? Now, the blues are only 10%. They're the smallest, and they're competitive and very future-oriented and theoretical, and they believe that their mission is really to be the change agents of society and to challenge everything and create the new institutions.
You said that you also call them the envelope pushers, which I like.
Envelope pushers, yes,
who
absolutely.
are some examples of them?
Examples would be Hillary Clinton and Al Gore and Bill Gates.
Amazing. You would not think Al Gore until recently would be in that same category, but he sure pushed the envelope on climate change.
Yes,
so
he did.
Good for him.
And he was also, when he was even vice president, he was always pushing the technology piece. And
oh, you're right. He discovered the internet. No.
Absolutely.
A wrong statement, but he was definitely pushing it. You're right. You're right.
So then the third group, which is 27% of the population, are what I call the Reds. Now, the Reds are pragmatic, action-oriented. They're very focused on now. They're very good at handling fast-moving situations. They're great at being sort of the negotiators and troubleshooters of society.
Are they come from the gut people? They just instinctively know what to do, right?
They do exactly what they see in front of them, and they just have very good instincts, and they can turn on a dime.
Okay.
Right? And examples of Reds would be Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Winston Churchill, Madonna.
Starting to see a pattern there. Okay, yes, all right.
And now the fourth group are the Greens, and Greens are 17% of the population, and these are creative, humanistic, empathetic people who really understand how to mediate and motivate, and they have very well developed communication skills of all forms, be it in writing or oral or graphical. And examples would be Oprah and President Obama, which is our first Green president.
Wow, our first ever in the whole, oh my
goodness. And Diane Sawyer would be another example, Bono.
Wow, okay, and surprisingly not, a lot of coaches are Greens, right?
A lot of coaches are Greens, right.
And that's the humanistic, let me help you out there.
Yeah,
let me
and
help you out there,
there's a desire to change the world, if you will, and bring out the human potential that lends itself very well to that profession.
Okay. So let's go back. When did you start playing around with all this stuff and putting it all together?
Well, actually, I started, believe it or not, 25 years ago. I was in the world of private banking for major institutions, Citi and American Express, and running around the world dealing with all of these foreign investors. And I discovered this model on the floor at an airport once and got so totally taken by it that I color-coded all my clients. And found
you discovered it on the floor of an airport?
Yeah,
what does that mean?
There was a book that had been written by a Harvard professor, and it was kind of the early version of this thinking. And I was so fascinated by this that I found that it was very helpful in understanding why certain clients really were not buying into what I was saying, even though they liked me personally, because I was talking in a different dimension. And I found that the first time I started using this, in 6 months, our new business went up by 50%.
Wow.
It was amazing.
Wow.
So I continued using it, and I found it worked in all continents, worked with the Middle East, worked with Asia a lot.
She's moved international. We'll be talking about that.
And then when I left the industry, I said, I got to find a way of really creating something that the world can use. And I've been working on this now in over 10 years.
Wow, and it's expanding and growing and
Yes.
going international. Well, what is the basic premise behind Color Q? What is it? Is it like self-improvement?
No, you are not supposed to think about constantly improving or getting rid of your faults. This is what the beauty of the system is. You're supposed to figure out what your strengths are and then put yourself in a situation where you can use those most of the day. So Color Q essentially says you are born with a certain mindset, if you will, and that understanding what the strengths of that mindset is can impact all the major areas of your life. And that includes your career, the way you handle your boss and your subordinates and your clients, and it very strongly impact on how you handle your family members, because we tend to marry our opposites.
Oh, do we?
And
okay.
certainly your teenage children.
Yes.
So,
I don't have to deal with, which is
Right.
good. All right, could you give me an example of like someone who is a color and what area they should put themselves in, say, career-wise? I guess that's the easiest one to do.
Well, let me give you an example of a recent client I had who was a partner in a Wall Street law firm.
Oh, okay.
And she came to me and she said, I'm really good at what I do, but I am constantly stressed out and I'm going to a shrink 3 times a week. So within a half hour, we discovered she was a green, and this is not a great occupation to be in the kind of law that she was doing. Other areas of law, it works well, but. And within, I don't know, before the end of that session, she said, that's it. I'm getting out of this firm. Now what am I going to do next? And within another half an hour, we decided she's going to go back and get her MSW, Master's of Social Work. And she graduated from that after, whatever, it takes 2 years. And now she's a therapist for lawyers. And she's ecstatic about her work. So it was so fun.
So what she did was take the green personality, which is the humanistic, bringing out the best in people and solving problems, and use the background she had, but realizing that she herself could not be a corporate lawyer, but she could help them.
But she understood exactly where they were coming from.
Because she had been there.
And she knew what the stress points were.
Brilliant. Okay.
So that was just fine-tuning, if you will, and understanding that there was nothing wrong with her. She just was in a situation that was very stressful for her.
Okay. Now I'm trying to think, like in a family, you're born into your family, heaven knows, and so how would that relate in a family situation or even a friendship situation? Like if you're a certain color, how can you enhance? I don't know. What terminology should I use? You're the expert.
Yeah, I have somebody just said to me yesterday, you know what we do whenever we have our big family dinners, I have these little cards, and when there's an argument going on, I swap the cards around. I have blue arguing with green, and they look at the cards and they start laughing.
Oh,
and she said it has diffused so many of our arguments at the table. Because what happens is once you understand that somebody's coming from a different mindset, it's no longer personal. They're not really trying to do something to annoy you. They're just being who they are. And you can laugh about it.
And you're not going to keep ramming your point home because it's not going to get there. Yeah.
That's right.
So there are specific ways, once you know, let's say that, because I happen to know you're a green and I'm a gold. So I would know that if I want to appeal to you, I'm going to appeal to the humanitarian side.
Then we would talk about people issues and we would not go too far on all of the organizational detail.
Right.
And you would know that I would have a looser thought process that's not quite as buttoned down as yours is.
Okay.
And therefore you wouldn't get annoyed when I'm going off the track and switching.
Well, I can't guarantee that.
Yeah,
but
no, but you
I'm
know.
I'm a gold. I
Yeah,
understand.
you know, it comes from a different place. And then also, I don't go to a blue, for example, if I want a compliment. They're not going to give me a compliment. They're going to tell me how I can make something better.
Oh,
This
okay.
is so you know